And we are live. So thank you for joining into the Bearded podcast. This is episode 8, and this is the one where we talk about mental health. Today we have with us Aaron from It's Okay UK. We have Sean, who is here representing MentalSBG, and we do have Tony, the Bearded Brit. I'm still getting quite a bit of feedback, guys. I think someone, for some reason, Sean, it might still be you. We'll have to sort this out. It's not a problem. It is what it is. So we're here today. Actually, I'll tell you what. Sorry, guys. Can everyone bring down their volumes slightly?
Let's try that.
There we go. Perfect. There we go. Back again. Yeah, it's just quite a bit of feedback, or it's just me talking too loud. One of the two. So obviously we are here today. We are diving into the deep, dark world of mental health, and especially sort of mental health within the bearded community. So as I said, here with us today we do have Aaron. Aaron, how you doing today, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad.
Good.
Surviving, I think, is the key word.
Aren't we all at the moment?
Exactly. Yeah. Sean, how you doing today, mate?
Yes, very good. Plodding along as always, surviving.
Yeah, I think that's all we can expect of people. And Tony, how are you doing today, man?
I'm all good, mate. Yes, thank you. Looking forward to my day off tomorrow.
Yeah, Tony, be careful with that light, mate, because it's bouncing off your bald head.
I knew that would come at some point.
So obviously we've got a couple of people watching us already. So if you do have any comments at all, please don't hesitate. Jump in. If you've got a story to tell, jump in. Or even if you want to sit quietly and just observe and go from there. So Aaron, let's start with you. So talk to me. What is It's Okay? What is it?
It's Okay is a where do I start with It's Okay? So It's Okay is a mental health clothing brand that I have created. It's Okay was developed from a saying that I used to have at the depths of my depression. So It's Okay was something that I used to say to myself constantly. So over the 2 years of where I've been struggling, It's Okay has come out of that with myself wanting to help people. So we create mental health focuses each month for clothing, and 10% of everything we sell goes to a nominated charity each month. So we really try and kind of make that awareness kind of thing. We try to make it so vast and put a net so vast that we can capture kind of a lot of different aspects of mental health. But yeah,
brilliant. So how long have you been sort of doing It's Okay? How long has it been running for?
So It's Okay has been running since July this year, so not very long. We're still a baby in terms of a brand. Trying to get that message out there that it's okay, to be who you are, essentially. So if you're having a bad day, it's okay to kind of acknowledge to yourself that you're having a bad day, and that's kind of the whole crux of the brand, really. But as I said, the brand comes from a real dark place in my life. It comes from a real tough time. So the foundation of this started in 2019. But it's taken only 2 years to get to where we are.
And what socials are you on? Obviously,
So I'm on Twitter. It's Okay Clothing. I'm on Facebook. It's Okay Clothing UK, and then Instagram. It's at It's Okay UK_UK. So we're live across all those kind of social media aspects, and just trying to get a good community around. So at the moment we're trying to build that community focus, because the more people, I say this analogy, like It's Okay is a brand that has a community, but we are a very, very small wheel in a very small cog in a very big wheel. So the more community that we have, the more awareness we manage to get. So that's the kind of the crux of It's Okay. We're kind of a bit more than a brand, really.
Yeah. So Sean, obviously not new to the bearded community, not new to well, the Bearded podcast, or even sort of podcasts with me in general.
Yep.
We've obviously done quite a bit together in the past. But talk to me, Mental. What's it all about? Where's it come from?
The idea was actually born out of a chat with you and Andy, to be fair, wasn't it? Back in July, I think, as well, so a similar time to Aaron. But I remember just having the idea and not knowing what to do with it. And to be fair, I think you came up with the idea, actually, didn't you, of the acronym of it? But it stands for Men Expelling Negative Thoughts About Life, which is a banter and support group. Which, to be fair, is very much more of a support group than a banter group at the moment. But I just had the idea one night, chatted to you guys about it, persevered, set it up, and it's done really well, to be fair. Like I said, it's only been going for probably 3 months now. But it's it's opened my eyes to just how unspoken this topic is. So it's been a steep learning curve, but I'm enjoying it, to be fair. It's good. Yeah,
it was it was a discussion, wasn't it, sort of not too long ago, and it was sort of like what can we do to help with our sort of position sort of in the community, where can we go, and sort of it was well, I'm not really going to take anything for it. It was all sort of Sean's idea. I just sort of piggybacked onto the end of it just to try and help him out slightly. But it's it's sort of gone from there. So obviously you've got your sort of Instagram page, sort of at MentalSBG. But talk to me about the Telegram, and what's that all about?
So Telegram is a chat app, very much like WhatsApp. What I basically did was set up a support group, just a group chat, just for it to be essentially a safe space, just to vent, just to ask for advice, opinions, just have an outlet. And it's growing steady. We have 26 people in there at the moment. Surprisingly, we have a few people that aren't in the UK actually already. I think there's Brazil, Belgium, and New Zealand already, people from. So it shows that it's not just a topic exclusive to us in the UK, but you know, the chat in the last probably 4 weeks especially has kind of exploded, and it's a pool of a lot of knowledge, a lot of guys that have been there, have done that, and experienced it themselves, and are sort of kind of providing people with their experiences of what mental health is. But like I say, it has been eye-opening. It's almost shocked me, to be fair, to an extent, just to see how many people are struggling and how many people need an outlet. I think, to be fair, talking to strangers is probably better for some people than it is talking to people around them. People that don't know what their life is like, don't know what their experiences are, and have no judgment on what they've been through. Yeah,
it's something which, obviously being involved in the chat, and obviously you guys are as well. I mean, I believe also sort of when you set it up, Sean, you don't actually have to go in as yourself. You can go in anonymous as well, can't you? So if you are the type of person where you're obviously worried about sort of what people are going to think of you, you can go in anonymously. Kind of, you don't have to have your real name. You can still talk about sort of what's going on, and I think that's, for me, I think that's really, really good, because once again, taking the first step is always going to be very, very hard for people. But knowing that kind of you can do it perhaps behind a little bit of a shelter, and just be there quietly. But then once you are involved in that chat, as you said, we got quite a lot of guys in there who are still dealing with stuff, but in a good place. And when you're having that conversation with people, it sort of makes you it does, as you said, it makes you realize sort of how far it can go, and how these guys are pulling through, and it's sort of great to see. But yeah, so just want to sort of quickly jump into the comments before I jump onto you, Tone. So we have had the question already: where is Andy? Unfortunately, Andy can't be with us tonight. He's had problems with his phone. The camera's not working, the mic's not working. I think what it is, whilst he's been going gym or whilst he's been cycling, he likes to take a lot of pictures, and he's probably fallen off his bike, which we've actually caught him doing that before. So unfortunately, yeah, his phone's not working, so he can't be with us. He is trying to sort something out in order to try and at least get in our comments section. So hopefully he'll be in with us in a little bit. But we'll see. But with us already, we do have Nez, we've got Dave Wallace, Scott Evans have jumped in and says he can't sort of really join with us tonight because of work, but he's going to sort of catch up with us tomorrow, which once again, you can sort of rewatch it on YouTube. We are on Spotify as well, Google Podcasts, sort of all them other ones as well. We've got Mitchell Thompson, so he's new for the Bearded podcast, so welcome. But we've got love yourself, Aaron. Looks like you're in the Big Brother house.
Cheers, Mitchell. This is my breakout room that I've built over COVID in the loft. So I've got loft space and I've built it out. It's got neons everywhere. It's got a real like 80s feel to it. So being an 80s kid has to be done.
It is. That does look pretty good. And Nez actually turned around and said about Andy that probably busy filming his OnlyFans. Yeah,
I think that's the truth.
Yeah, probably more.
Won't be far wrong with that.
Yeah, but right. So let's obviously jump on to Tony. Tony, the Bearded Brit, as you're probably more well known as. Once again, not a stranger to the Bearded podcast or the sort of bearded community itself, but sort of yourself. You've been writing quite a lot of blogs, especially recently, and you've been sort of really diving into sort of your mental health yourself. So it's great to sort of have you here and sort of, so talk to us. What sort of brought you into this conversation today? Why do you want to sort of be in sort of the mental health podcast?
I think it's something that's it's starting to get recognised a bit more, but it still needs more exposure. I think because men are supposed to be strong, they're supposed to be powerful, they're seen as these people that are unbreakable, and it's just not the case. There's only so much a human person can take within their lives, and I think it's important that we talk about it, because otherwise it's just going to get swept under the carpet like it has done for so many years. Just listening to Sean there with MentalSBG, it's opened my eyes as well, seeing some people actually letting go in there about how they feel, and it's you don't get that very often from guys. You know what I mean? They don't like to open up their emotions and speak about things. It's quite a shame.
Mm.
So
Absolutely.
what's made you sort of want to do these the blogs which you've been doing recently? Because as I said, you've done a couple of sort of just sort of how you're feeling and sort of bits and pieces like that. What's made you attracted to doing that side of things? Because it's a little bit different. Not many people are doing that.
No, I think it's important. My experiences could maybe help somebody else open up, and maybe, I'm getting some good comments from people about the last one that I put on about ZAD, which is obviously a seasonal affective disorder, and you don't realise. I mean, it's more common in women than it is men, but men can still suffer from that as well. And it's just about highlighting it, Dan, just to make sure people are aware that it can happen. And even though we are men with beards and we're supposed to be that kind of man you look up to, who's bearded, is strong, he's powerful. No, not necessarily, man. It's just about letting people know what the crack is. For me.
Yeah, it's good, mate. So Aaron, let's sort of jump back towards yourself. So you're going through your sort of it's okay. So far you're doing pretty well. So what else have you got planned sort of coming up? Is there anything which we should be looking out for? Podcasts or stuff?
No, so I'm at the moment it's just plugging away. I've teamed up with Kitchen Raven Misbehaving. If any of you guys have heard of these guys, they're DJ, a kind of DJ publicity type group. So they've got a massive gig in London tonight, and we're sponsoring that. So Tramerstock, they've got a big rave on a boat, pretty much. So hopefully get lots of photos and stuff from that. We've got a couple of focuses. So this month we focus on mental health, obviously, because it's November. It's obviously nothing that we wouldn't do anyway, but it's just having that extra special push in line with November this month. I will announce it on here. So in December, our focus is going to be loneliness for those at Christmas who spent Christmas alone. I was one of them last year. And it's the time of year that penalises people for not having family and stuff. So it's the time of year that does that. So we're having a real push on that for Christmas. Onwards from there, I'm looking for collaborations, really. So we'll just keep doing that monthly focus, real focus that I pride the It's Okay on and hitting the topics hard, hitting the topics that people don't want to talk about, and we will talk about them. So I just think for me personally, coming from the 2 years that I've gone through, and we'll probably touch on it in during this podcast, but I think before anything had happened to me, I probably wouldn't have talked about mental health. I probably gone, yeah, I'm okay, I'm dusted off, this, that, and the other. But as soon as depression hit and then I decided to take my own life, that's when things changed for me. And it's that kind of like sink or swim. You have to talk about it. So I'm very open about doing that. And I don't think there's any, for me, there's no topic off the table, And I agree with Tony, what Tony was saying, and I've said it this month, and it's okay. The being strong-willed man, hunter-gatherer type, don't have to be that. That's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard in my life. We've all got feelings, whatever gender you are, we've all got feelings, and we're all allowed to open up and cry and all the rest of it. So that's how I kind of see it. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent now. You see, you got me.
No, mate, that's the whole idea of it, isn't it? It's sort of we're supposed to go from there. We do just joined with us. We do have Big Fat Beard. So John from Big Fats. Thank you for joining with us, mate. Always a pleasure, as usual. So Sean, talk to me sort of about mental. How are you looking at going forward? Do you have anything planned? How are we going to spread the word and sort of bring more people in? Have you got anything planned?
At the moment, no. I have had conversations recently, to be fair, with ideas to put forward, but at the moment, I think it just works well having a virtual space just to be able to let off steam when you need to. Eventually, somewhere down the line, I want to set up, physical meets. Try and find it somewhere centrally to everybody to all meet up and just have a drink and just, create a physical bond, not just a digital bond, because already I think with the group has been a lot more candid than I expected it to. And I think, there's been a lot of support and a lot of bonds formed already. I think it's just trying to, extend on that. And at the moment, I don't know where to go with it. I'm kind of liking what it is at the moment, just because I haven't really seen this option much. But I always look at, I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but Andy's Man Club is massively prominent, and it was actually set up not far. It was set up in, I believe the guy was from Halifax, so not too far from me. And I keep seeing the stuff that they're posting on. They do a weekly update, and I think they last had just short of 1,100 people across something like 20, 30 centres around the UK, where people had gone, some first timers, some regulars, some, from the start and stuff. And it's that kind of idea that obviously works well, but life's becoming more digital now anyway. So not everyone can make physical meets. Not everyone has the confidence to. Not everyone wants to. Some people want to stay behind a screen. And it's catering for those people that don't have the confidence to be able to put a face to a name. I think what I would like to do is stuff like this, in fairness, Zoom calls, where the ability is to sit behind a camera, keep it off, keep yourself muted, and just, sit and listen and take it in. There will be some people that will be sat and be, more vocal and more centre stage, but not everyone has to. And I think it's, like I say, it's that sort of catering for everybody. People are at different stages in their own mental health journey. Some a lot further in than others, some a lot newer, some a lot fresh to it, and not really understanding what it is. To be obviously not going into details because I like to keep stuff within the group on there, but somebody had described what was essentially a panic attack to him recently. He didn't actually realise it was a panic attack, and it only took the explanation of a few others to say that's what that is for him to realise that's what it was. And to be fair, there was some amazing feedback on how to cope with it and how to not necessarily avoid it, but how best to deal with it if and when it comes around. And to be fair, I thought that was amazing, to be fair, in terms of just him being opened up and kind of cared for.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen so far, as you said, it's all well and good sort of having Google and sort of having all the information sort of at your fingertips, but it's only when you literally, as you said, you're in that group with someone and they can describe that information, they can describe that feeling, and they can literally run through something with you, where it kind of it almost pretty much sinks in to that. To really, I think sort of Dave has said in the comments, to just bring this up. So there's been so much sharing and honesty in the Telegram chat that it truly is. I wouldn't say mind-boggling, but it's just absolutely phenomenal. I never, when I first joined in with it, I never thought there would be that type of sort of just free-flowing information from people. But once again, it's all this different people in different stages where you're able to open up and you're prepared to talk about sort of bits and pieces. But as you said, sort of been doing these, if you want to do the video calls and stuff like that, it's going to give other people options. And I think that's the most important thing, isn't it? It's you can turn around and go, well, some people who just want to do it through text, they can do the text. Some people who want to do the video calls can do the video calls. And the more options you can give to someone, the more likely they're potentially going to join in at least one of them. And I think that's important, isn't it?
And to be fair, now currently, like I say, there's 26, I think, at the last count. And to be fair, regularly speaking, I'd say there's probably 10, 12 maybe. So there are people already kind of just sat in the background, I'm not saying not contributing, but they don't need to contribute, It's designed just to sit and soak up what's there and kind of learn from what people have experienced and kind of incorporate that into their own journey. And I just think it's just been, like I say, I didn't expect it. I didn't expect the rawness of people talking. The just how much detail people have gone into. I think it's, like I say, it's mind-boggling, probably, for want of a better word, is what it is. Just because, as I say, I didn't really expect it to have such a quick impact.
And a positive impact.
Impact,
yeah. I think that's sort of the most important thing as well. As you said, we've had them discussions, and people have guided these individuals through, and it is such a positive impact. And I think that, as I said, that's a really important part as well. So Tony, obviously you've been doing your blogs, you supporting the whole sort of mental health scene as well. Let's dive just a little bit sort of into yourself. As I said, you've been there, sort of, you put it in your blogs so people can see. So you're not scared and sort of going into a little bit of detail about how you feel in general. But let's dive into sort of where it started for you. At what point did you feel, you know what, I actually want to put this in a blog? I feel like I'm able now to put it in a blog. What was the tweak for you?
I think it was seeing other people struggling and thinking how can I help somebody else? Do you know what I mean? Maybe even just one person who might read that and think, well, do you know what? That's how I feel. And just to have that little something, it's just it can make the big difference. I didn't have anything like that. I didn't know where to turn when I was feeling that way. I wasn't sure what to do. and I was at the depths of everything. I was like Aaron was saying, it was that close. It could have gone either way. Luckily, it went the way that now I'm here still. So with that, it's finding that right thing to grasp onto. So things like It's Okay and the MentalSBG groups are things that just weren't there when I was going through this. It was all the Samaritans, and then you know, you just snap out of it. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. It's not as easy as that. It's a lot more in depth than that, and I think people don't understand how much it can really affect you until you've actually been through it yourself. Because I used to, if I'm completely honest, I used to think, right, yeah, they're off again because they've got mental health issues, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then when it happens to you, you start to realise that, do you know what? I'm a twat because I didn't realise that that's exactly what you're going through, because I now know. And it's only when it happens to you, you can fully understand it. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to share, basically. Yeah. So let people know, just don't be afraid. Get out there, speak about it, talk to people. I'm there for you if you need, and so are others as well. And I've mentioned Sean's group a few times because I think it's a really good place to start, where you can get in there. People that all have been through similar things can really get together. And if you don't want to talk about it, fine, but you can read others' experiences. And I think that's a really, really good thing that's going on there. I'm really glad I joined that. I wish it had been around about 3 years ago. But
well, so just jumping sort of so Kieran, Viking, and Phil is in with us today. Nice to have you, mate. But he also turned around and says that same for him. Sort of he wishes that there was something like that sort of 4 years ago. Sort of before sort of he had sort of his incident. I mean, Tony, I say this sort of with obviously the greatest deal of respect. You're sort of an elder gentleman in sort of comparison to sort of like sort of me or Sean or sort of even Aaron. And it's sort of like you very much got sort of probably more that mentality of it's all fake. Let's be not that you have, but sort of that sort of almost older generation. It's just, oh no, do you know what? It is nothing. Having that change from kind of it's not real to, you know what, it is real. How do you think that was a bigger light bulb moment for you when you actually realised, you know what, they're genuinely, this is real stuff rather than just the old stories of it being fake?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily fake, but what I from my parents and the way that they were, it was all very much just get on with it. And that's the way that you had to deal with things back then. Like my nan was all very much like she went through a hard time, her husband died, etc., and she just got on with it. But that's not always the case, and there's a lot more pressures now that you have to realise is coming through with social media. You've got all of these people that look like they're having a wonderful time and their lives are perfect, and you're trying to live up to that expectation. For me, it was a point where I was literally at the edge of a cliff, and I was just thinking to myself, what is going on here? And that's the light bulb moment for me when I realised where I was and what I needed to do. And it was either jump or it was make a phone call. And I phoned the Samaritans. They were the first people I phoned, and that's when I kind of realised, you know what, this is really bad. This is something that isn't, as you say, fake. It's not. It is something that really does affect people, and I've been blind to it. And I think I was holding back a lot of the time as well, bottling it up as you do before it just like a champagne cork.
Yeah. So it's something which I mean I've really wanted to dive into this side of it and have this conversation about actually lockdown and social media. Sort of over the last sort of 2 years, we've seen a big increase in sort of social media usage. Once again, because of sort of lockdown, sort of all stuff like that, and we all know there's studies that sort of social media is an addictive thing. But I mean, there's people which Sean knows, Tony knows, I know, and sort of even sort of yourself, Aaron, sort of have been involved in the social media sort of side of things, and they've literally had to turn around and go, I can't deal with this no more.
Mm-hmm.
I can't deal with the pressure. Tony's done it, and even I've sort of stepped away at certain times when, you know what, I just sort of want to calm down with things. And genuinely, there's sort of guys who are there who've just turned around and said, because obviously I review, Tony reviews, and there's sort of ex-reviewers out there who've just turned around and gone, I can't keep up with it no more. I can't keep up with sort of having to post a picture every day, which you have to look amazing in order to sort of get good engagement, get good content, and sort of people commenting, and sort of stuff like that. So sort of with that in mind, what's your sort of opinion on it, Aaron? Sort of has the social media side of things, has that affected sort of yourself or the people who you deal with?
It's me. Will talk to me first and foremost. Like I nearly threw the towel in 2 weeks ago. If it's okay, I nearly just cancelled the whole thing and deleted my profiles and everything because it was just getting too much. There is so much fakeness on social media and Instagram, and you're always trying to get your positive raw message across. I mean, It's Okay has come from, as I said, somewhere really dark for me. It's come out, it's been the shining beacon for me going forward. It's been my focus, and I can't keep up. I can't keep up with everyone else who have got teams out there. I can't keep up with, like, I don't know, the socialites, you know, the people that have got, I don't know, 50,000 followers. And Instagram's algorithm and stuff doesn't make it easier for anybody because you're trying to push, I don't know, hashtag mental health. But if you've got someone that's got, I don't know, 50,000 followers that's doing the same hashtag, you'll never, ever get near it. So, but yeah, it was just getting too much 2 weeks ago because I'm posting probably 2 or 3 times a different thing a day because you just need to keep. You know, I post more about tips to help people more than I do my clothing because you've just got to have that completely push under people's noses constantly, day in, day out, which is why I've enlisted my 18-year-old son because he's doing social media at college. So I've enlisted him to help me because I've got a full-time job that I do in the day, and then every hour that I spend out of it, I've got a partner, I've got my son, I've got things to do. But it's okay. It's so amazing. I'm so want to push it and so push my message, but it's keeping up. Social media is the bane. It's brilliant in some ways, but the bane of my life in other ways. And I think for me, social media, when I was really at my depths of depression, going onto social media and seeing everybody, as Tony said, having this wonderful, glamorous life, sat on the beach in Dubai with their cocktails and Ferrari sat in the background, and I'm sat laid on the sofa with my head in a pillow and I can't get out of bed because I just feel absolutely worthless. It doesn't make you feel any better, that's for sure. And that's just how I see social media. I think it is the bane of society, but for us and what we're trying to push, it's also like the best thing. So it's a real hard head and heart type thing.
Sean, I mean, you've been in the social media game sort of obviously with me for the last 2 years, sort of doing the Bearded Brit review stuff and obviously sort of Shy Spirits, and obviously even doing your MBV stuff as well.
Yeah.
So you know what it's like to sort of realistically needing to post constantly. How has that pressure been put on you? Have you found it sort of now it's more sort of almost quality over quantity, or do you feel like I can't post that much and I just need to do whatever kind of suits me type thing?
Social media is a blessing and a curse. You know, at the end of the day, it's there's a certain appearance to keep up. You know, especially, I mean, again, going back to our days of sort of the Bearded Brit reviews and stuff, you know, we used to have that bit of a joke where who could get, you know, as the most followers in a certain amount of time, and there was that superficial aspect to it of, you know, how quickly could you get to 5,000, then 6,000, then 7,000? How many likes could you get on a post, and how many comments? And it gets a lot, and I've seen a lot of people that have dropped out off the back of it through lockdown. And when we started, just over 18 months ago,
yeah,
you know, it was fresh. You know, everyone was spending their life on social media. It was the way of interacting with the world, certainly through the first wave of lockdowns. So I think during that period of time, it was a blessing because it allowed us to do what we did, and it allowed everybody to, you know, still keep in touch with each other and stuff. And I think as we got back to real life, I mean, went through it. We gave up off the back of it because people weren't living the life on Instagram anymore. They were living the lives back in the real world. And I've always been someone, I suppose, that looks at Instagram and goes, "Oh, we've only got a certain amount of likes on this post, and why is that one not worked as well as another one? And why is someone else that's posted a similar post, and why have they suddenly got 3, 4, 5 times the amount of likes and comments and all sorts?" I still do it now. There's an element of superficialness. I do fall foul of it. Something that I'm working on, which is why I'm at the stage now where quality over quantity. I would rather wait a few days and actually post something worthwhile posting than posting for the sake of it and posting something that isn't really worth posting, but I'm also doing it for the sake of doing it. I agree with Aaron, to be fair. The way to grow what we're doing is to be active on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok especially now. I mean, God, it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that's one of the things that I've noticed recently through the algorithms on TikTok, that a lot of mental health stuff is being posted. But interestingly, a lot of the stuff that is gaining good feedback on TikTok is men's mental health stuff talked about by women, which has been very, very interesting to see. The fact that it's irrelevant who talks about men's mental health. The fact of the matter is it's being talked about, which is the main thing. But just interestingly, you don't still see very many men being open about it. And it's something that I collectively like to work on. I'm not saying we're going to change the world by doing what we're doing, but at the end of the day, if we can help one person, 2 people, whatever, doesn't matter how many people you help, as long as you're helping someone, that's what it's there for. This isn't about, being really popular and making money and all this sort of stuff. It's simply about having an outlet, for people to turn to someone when they might not have anybody else to turn to. So I think it's there's a lot of more scope available. There's a lot of scope available in what we're doing. We've not even scratched the surface of it.
Yeah.
It's just where it goes. And one of the things, to be fair, that I thought about recently, it started becoming more public, I believe, since Tyson Fury went through what he went through. I think that really opened people's eyes to seeing just how serious mental health is. He went through that period of time where he wanted to end it all. You listen to what he talks about, and he was really candid with it. And it was kind of it was difficult to listen to what he was saying at times because of realizing how many people felt the same way. But since then, obviously, he's turned his life around, done what he's done, and gone out and achieved what he's achieved.
Yeah,
and it shows that people in the limelight still are affected, probably more so than us as everyday Joe Blogs. But they've just got to hide it. I think that's the dangerous game. Is hiding how you're feeling to keep up appearances.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to realise that now, which is refreshing. It's taking time, it will still take time, to be fair, but we're going the right way.
Yeah. So sort of just jumping back onto that sort of social media side of things, so Phil has turned around and said, I found I was trying to get that perfect photo sort of his hobbies, and it become a chore, and he actually stopped enjoying them. And now he's sort of very conscious to put sort of the camera where it's not easily accessible when he's like paddling or sort of hiking, which is some of his hobbies. And he's sort of completely right. And sort of, as I said, when you break it back down to the Bearded Bear reviews, when we was doing that, we went back to normal life, so to speak. And it was hard trying to keep up with constantly having to do posts and sort of do all that type of stuff. And the algorithms, you're right, they are completely all over the place. I'm going to be totally honest. I've had pictures in the past which are sort of nearly 1,000 likes, and then sort of you post one sort of literally about this podcast, you got sort of 5 bearded blokes on it, and it's sort of 56 likes or something like that, and you think to yourself, well, hold on, what's more important, me standing there with my mustache curled up getting the 1,000 likes, or like a podcast where you're talking about serious issues? And it does. I just think social media sometimes doesn't help, and not necessarily sort of just the basic algorithms. They don't seem to work, in my opinion. I think it's sort of very misleading. But once again, it's what people's interested in. They want to see they want to see nice, beautiful people with these Ferraris and stuff like that, and they don't necessarily want to have these hard conversations about mental health and sort of all these types of stuff. So just jumping onto Dave Wallace, as Tony said, he went away for a couple of nights with his wife and turned the phone off. It felt extremely liberating, which I think is right. To be totally honest, I don't post now sort of on the weekends. Very rarely I'll post on a Friday. I would do my sort of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday stuff, and sort of Friday and the weekends I'm done. And the reason why I do that, I've got sort of my missus, I've got my kids, and I spend time with them. I don't want to take photos and sort of stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, if I'm out, we're out taking the walks and there's a lovely picture, I'll grab a quick selfie, but I'm not putting it up, and I'm not going to do anything like that, because that's my time, that's my family time. And I think it's sort of, for me, the key is finding that balance. Also being part of sort of my own beard club, sort of finding that balance between being with them and talking to all them guys in there, social media, family time, and work. And I think that's something which people have to understand, is finding that balance is not easy. And if you've got to step away from social media, don't feel that that's a problem, because I've seen it quite a few times where they're apologizing to people. They're like, I'm sorry, but I can't do this no more. Why are you apologizing? Because you've got to come off social media. You don't need to explain to anyone. It's not something which I feel you should have to put out there to tell people. If you want to come away and talk to the people who you still want to still relate to and talk to, and go from there. But sort of, Tony, as it said, obviously you're one of the guys who's doing the social media stuff. You're in and out there. But my curiosity behind this, sort of, obviously Sean jumped into this sort of Tyson Fury sort of debate, where he's gone from extremely high to extremely low, and basically to extremely high again. It's all well and good sort of with Fury being able to do it. I mean, he's got obviously a very big fan base, but he's got money. He's also got sort of probably almost unlimited resources. So for sort of guys like ourselves who got very, very little, do you feel there is enough out there for us to be able to get that attention? Do you feel it's readily available?
No. I wouldn't say it's readily available. I think things are kind of hidden within. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, you've got numbers that you can call, like you can call Mind, or you can go online for them. You can call the Samaritans, but then you have to then go through another process, and they say, right, call this number, like Talking Matters. Then you register with that, and then it takes a while for them to get back to you. Then you have a conversation, and then it takes another long while for you to get to see somebody else. And the whole thing's quite convoluted, if I'm honest. And it needs to be brought to a sharper conclusion with that, because this is people's lives at the end of the day that we're talking about. So, yeah, Tyson Fury's got the money. He can go and see a private doctor. He can go and do this, that, and the other. We can't do that. So this is why it's important to talk to people about it, even if it's your partner or your parents or somebody that you can actually open up to. Or sometimes it's even better, as Sean was saying before, it's speaking to a stranger that you don't know, and just going through that and just saying, this is how I feel. You know, and sometimes that's all you need, but don't keep your partners out of it. Don't keep your family out of it either, because I think they're if you've got a good family surrounding, then they're the people that can really support you. It all depends on that family, I guess, sometimes, because you do get unsupportive members of family. So that just, again, they'll just go, I'll just put up with it in my day. Do you know what I mean? So it is about making people understand. And things like Tyson's great, but as Sean was saying there, we're not seeing what's behind all of that, which is all the team he's got. He's got like people that work for him. He's got people that do his social media. He's got people that do things for him, so he doesn't have to rely on that. We don't have that. We've got to do it all ourselves. So it's about maintaining that balance and taking a break if you need it. You know yourself, I've taken a few breaks from social media. Last one was about a 4-week break. I was still speaking to yourself, Dan, and a few others, but for me, I just needed to get away from it because, like you were saying, like Phil said, trying to find that perfect picture all the time and trying to get that perfect selfie, and it just becomes too much. And I just I had enough. So really, you just need to talk about it. You just need to just say, I'm not well. There's something not right. Go and see your doctor. My GP was really good. And if you've got a decent GP, they'll be really helpful and they'll get you in touch with the right people.
So Aaron, so for yourself, obviously you've spoken about sort of your history and you're sort of very open about it. Talk to me about your light bulb moment. What was your spark which turned around and went, you know what, I've got to change? Where did it come from?
So we'll roll this back to the start of my dilemma. So give me 2 seconds. I've just got Eminem playing through my headset because I've clicked the wrong button. So, where do I start with mine? So 2019, I was married, just lost the baby, and me and my partner's relationship completely broke down. I won't go into too much detail on here, but we broke down, and I found myself driving back from Oxford to Norfolk with bin bags in my car, my whole life, and my dog. So drove back to Norfolk. I've had a turbulent childhood. So coming back to Norfolk for me was it was tough. All my memories ran away from many years ago, 16, 17 years ago, were back. So I had to buy a house, sell a house. I had an aunt who had a heart attack, obviously the baby, the divorce, all the rest of it, just all compiled. And following February, I realised that I'd been suffering from depression for about probably 12 months. And I just found myself driving to the coast to take my life. And that's what I was going to do. I made set that day. I felt relieved because I'd made that decision to go. And I drove to the coast and sat on the beach for 2 hours in the rain. And you know, Linkin Park, One Last Light song?
Yeah.
That played. And I sat on the beach and I looked out to sea and I thought, you know, who I've not got a very supportive family. We talked about families then. I've not got anyone to support me. And I sat there and thought, who's going to bother with me if I was just to kill myself now? Like, who would care? Like, who's going to be at my funeral? Who's going to do this? So I just decided, that's it. I'm just going to swim. That's it. No one will find me. All done and dusted. So I went to do it and my phone went off and it was my son. So that was the light bulb moment that we're getting to. So my son called and I answered the phone and he said, "Hi, Dad, how are you?" And I've never felt so much. It's not stupidity, but I want to say stupidity. I've never felt so, because I haven't looked after him. I haven't acknowledged him. I've just done what I thought was best for everybody else. And that was the light bulb moment. It was therapy. And I did want to touch upon, like, talking about therapy and help. I saw a post on Instagram the other day about therapy, and it was about having a good counsellor. And the person that was doing this post was like, yes, but good therapy costs. It shouldn't cost. That's why people are taking their lives, because they can't get the help they need. Therapy shouldn't cost. And I've probably spent over my lifetime, and I'm probably about 12, 13 grand on therapy. I've been in and out of therapy since the age of 21 for anxiety and various other things. And for me, I had to put money in my own pocket to sort myself out. And that should never have been the case. It should have been able to go, I need help. And I mean, I've dragged my ass back from that February. I really have dragged it back to where I am today, and I'm able to talk about it. But I've had to do this on my own. Well, I say on my own. I've got a brilliant aunt who had the heart attack at the time, who has been nothing but providing me information from mind and being there to support and talk to. But solely, her and her husband are the only ones that have kind of been there for me. And I don't know. For me now, being able to talk about it so bluntly, I just feel for all those people out there who don't have any support, or they can't go and get support because they can't do it financially. And I don't know. There's just this undercurrent tone that I don't particularly like. That people can't get the help they need. But yeah, that's my light bulb moment, really.
A very good point there, Aaron. Sorry to jump in, Dan. I work for a company. I won't name the company, but when I had a breakdown in front of my area manager, and we managed to get help through the company. They paid for it. So that's what I think more companies need to be doing as well, is looking at that and saying, do you know what, we need to support people that are suffering with mental health. And by doing things like that, it takes that pressure off that person, who then, as you say, would have to pay money. And I think it needs to go, this needs to go everywhere. Every company should be providing that kind of service, because it's so rife at the moment. It's just getting, and again, it's expectations, going back to social media. It is expectations about how you have to live the perfect life. And youngsters, especially these days, are trying to look up to that, look up to the Kardashians for some strange reason, and other people, and think that that's what they want to be. But it's just too much. And I think this is where social media needs to be better as well. People who run the social media channels need to start looking at what they can do to help support. As you were saying, Dan, you know, your likes of you all, like with your face in it and everything's great, but then when there was a 5 of us and it's just talking about a podcast, there's not so much interaction. And that's a lot of that's down to the algorithms pushing that handsome face out there. Well, sort of handsome. And people then clicking that because they see it and they think, yeah, I like that. That's aesthetically pleasing. I like that. But yeah, that just thing that says about this, no, I'm not that interested in that. It's wrong the way everything's set up. Completely wrong. There needs to be more support from social media and workplaces, in my opinion.
So sort of just jumping onto something which Phil has said, sort of 100% easier to talk to a stranger, and he sort of learned things the hard ways. Sometimes things can't be unsaid, and obviously a lot better than trying to bottle it up. I think it's, as you said, it is very, very difficult. It's something which kind of, are you going to pay? You shouldn't have to pay to be in that situation where you say you need help, or sort of anything like that. It's disappointing. It should get to that point, but it's just the way it is at this point in time, obviously. But Sean, sort of want to dive back to you, because you sort of view your family, you've got actually sort of quite a military past, haven't you? Sort of you've got a very sort of rich heritage, sort of regards to that. How do you find the sort of whole sort of mental health situation with regards to sort of like the military and sort of stuff like that? Is there much support there? Do you find it's becoming more accepting, sort of in that environment as well, to talk? Or haven't you managed to dive into that much yet?
I think so. Yeah, my dad did 22 years in the RAF, so I was obviously, I suppose, fairly lucky to an extent to be in quite a disciplined, structured kind of environment. You know, I was from up until the age of 11, 12. So sort of the younger years is when that was prevalent. You know, my dad spent a lot of time working away, being deployed, you know, in different countries. So, you know, it was, for a lot of time, it was sort of my mum, my sisters and that were kind of being there for support and stuff. So only really now I follow sort of what goes on with the military, and from what I've seen, certainly over the last few years, you know, they're making a lot more of a conscious effort to provide help. I think that's another thing, to be fair, for people coming out of the military, having been in such a bubble and, you know, living such a structured life and having their life lived for them. I think, you know, they're told, you know, there's a lot of stuff where they're told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. To all of a sudden just sort of be, right, thanks for your service, you know, you're back into civilian life now. Yeah. I think that's not talked about enough. You know, what do they say? 75% of suicides over the last few years, or probably back to the mid-90s, have been men. I think 2019 it was 5,500 suicides. 75% of them were men, and it would be interesting from that, in that essence, to see how many of them were people with a military backgrounds. The PTSD element of it, where the support I don't think is there. Again, Phil can probably provide his experience to an extent because he was in the army, I believe, anyway. So he'll have more of a first-hand experience than I will. But you see a lot of people, a lot of homeless people, especially, where they're just kind of cast out. They've given their lives for what we can have in our life, and I don't think it's reciprocated when they leave the military. I think that's something as well that isn't talked about enough and isn't dealt with enough. It's getting better, like I say, from what I've seen and heard, but as is the case with men's mental health in general, it's still not enough. Too many people still falling victim to it. So for me personally, I think it was it set me up well in life to have that kind of structured life, and now being at an age where I can kind of understand what my dad went through more so than I did during then. It helps. The relationship I've had with my dad is strongest now than it has been in over the last couple of years, especially than it ever has been. And I think having that sort of network around you helps. But like Aaron said before, not everyone has that family support network, which is why more needs to be done with stuff like what we're doing, or with stuff that should be provided by, the NHS or the government or whatever. So I think it's heading in the right direction, but still a lot of work needs to be done.
Yeah. So sort of feels to jump back in. So gentlemen said, like, the mental health support which he got when he was in the army was unbelievable. It was actually harder getting the support out here, sort of out in the normal world, so to speak. And also, as just everyone said, if it wasn't for the army doctors and mental health teams, 100% say he wouldn't be here. So as you said, it's that sort of back to normality, back to that sort of that freedom, and not that sort of regimented sort of change, isn't it? But it is being able to have that support. So we've got sort of one here, also just saying that even if therapy can't be fully funded, it should at least be subsidised. It's something which, once again, it's a long way from being perfect, but it's getting there, I think, slowly but surely. So let's sort of dive into, obviously, Sean, with your sort of Telegram, sort of how can people get involved? Can they do they message you directly? Shall they message Mental? Have you sort of got anyone else they can talk to? I mean, they can. I've got no problem. If anyone wants to message me direct, or is there a link which you can have put up somewhere where they can join anonymously without even needing to talk to you or me or anywhere else? Is there something you can do, like on a link tree or something like that?
So my only platform at the moment is Instagram. At the moment on Instagram, when you go into my profile, the link to join is there. Generally speaking, how I've done it up until now, and as is the case with Aaron especially, and well, everyone that's in that group to an extent, barring you guys and a couple of others, when someone follows me, I would send a message saying, "Thanks for the follow. We set this page up, etc., etc. Here's the link up. See there." Sort of thing. A lot of people just read it and leave it, and that's fine. No one's obliged to post. At the moment, kind of, if you follow the page, then the likelihood is, unless I miss your following, I'll send that link out to you. But if you were to someone that isn't following my page, can go onto my page and click the link, download Telegram from it. Telegram's really easy to set up. You can just create whoever you can create a pseudonym. You can be whoever you want to be on On Telegram, there's no verification to say you've got to be, who you really are. So you could join under John Smith, Joe Blogs, whoever you wanted to be on that. We're not going to know any different, and quite frankly, we're not going to care. It's just, get in there, if you're struggling, if you feel like there isn't anybody that is in your personal life that's there to provide you with help and guidance and support and all that sort of stuff, then, try and surround yourself with people that have had first-hand experience of it. Because I think there's a lot of people out there who feel like they're very, very on their own with how they're feeling. And it takes something like this kind of group and what Aaron's doing and the clothing brands that promote it to realise that there is a lot more people in the same boat.
Yeah.
So it's the way to join is either message me or just go onto the page, download the link and join that way.
The thing with the group that I found is when I was struggling and I would turn to people, you would have people that would go, cheer up, do this, do that. You've got a perfect life. What you got to be worried about, this, that, and the other. So I always thought a bit weird. I always thought it was a bit odd. So I always thought I was the only one struggling with what I've got, went through life. You go into these groups and chats with guys struggling, you suddenly feel like you're part of something to help people. You don't feel so alone anymore. And I have an inkling with people struggle because they feel they're on their own and they've got to deal with themselves. When actually you get with like-minded people who had similar experiences, can help, suddenly a whole world opens up and it's a much more tolerable place to be in.
Yeah. So like obviously, so sort of Tony with yourself, sort of, I'd said you've come very more sort of understanding sort of for you, how you're feeling and sort of everything behind it. Sort of jumping into sort of combine that with your blogs and jumping into sort of Sean's sort of the mental group. How have you been finding it? Have you found that it is actually easier to listen to sort of, let's get these guys in the group? Because as you said, you've been there, you've done it, you've seen it yourself. Has it been comfortable for you, or is it? Do you still think there's more which we can do elsewhere as well on top of that?
I think there's always more we can do. I think these are really good starts, a really good push to get things out there more. But there's always more you can do, and I think by really advertising these groups, advertising the clothing brands that support that. And the blogs as well. I think there's a lot more we can do. More people need to write about it. More people need to talk about it. But what I like about it is as Sean was saying, it's the openness of it. And there's been some really open people in there. And it's those kind of things that you need. You need people that have been through it. I haven't really said my story in there yet, but I don't feel I need to because I've done that elsewhere. But if it's something that helps other people, then yeah, of course I'll talk about it. But I think just listening to people, actually getting that out there makes a massive difference. I think it's a great thing, but we need to do more. There's always going to be more to do, Dan.
Yeah, I think for me, sort of what I've found behind the process so far, is sort of something which sort of Phil's also just jumped onto. It's not necessarily a place where you don't have to go there and you don't have to sort of lay down your life of I've almost done this, I've almost done that, and I'm at the end type thing. It's actually just quite a nice place to be able to go and vent and just turn around and go, you know what, I'm pissed off today. Just something silly, whatever. I mean, I've stubbed my toe on the side and it's just pissed me off for the rest of the day. Do you know what I mean? And we all get like that. But it's actually nice because you can turn around and just have that a little bit of event just to someone. It's the people in the group, and it's just enough to take the edge off, rather than letting it sort of build up, as Phil said. You can just go there anonymously, have your little event, get it out of your system, so then it doesn't build up and put you into places where sort of you almost don't come back. And obviously we've got sort of Mitchell's just turned around and said, as well. In the short time he's been part of the group chat, it's been refreshing to see sort of blokes helping and supporting each other on topics that historically have been sort of hushed and really sort of kept within the circles. Once again, it's not. It's again, it's just being open about things, and there are. All I want to say is sort of people outside looking in, but perhaps you don't feel that you've got this sort of any type of mental health problem, or generally you may not have any type of mental health problem. It doesn't actually mean you can't come into these groups as well. You can still come into these groups. You can still have an understanding of how people are feeling, and you can still give a voice and try to be compassionate. And I think that's something which is also important as well. You don't necessarily have to be exclusively on the edge or had problems in the past. It is a very, very sort of open and inclusive place, and I think there's something which for me has been really, really good. And it's just sort of once again, as Phil's just jumped to, it's equally nice just to shoot the shit when only just to go, have a bit of fun and have a bit of talk and go from there. It's just something a little bit different. But Aaron, let's sort of jump back with you. So with yourself, how obviously we've done through all your sort of social media stuff. You're sort of on your Twitter, you're obviously on your sort of Instagram and whatnot. But if anyone decides to turn around and go, sort of, I don't want to speak to the brand, I want to speak to the individual. Can they come to you and just sort of?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not any shape or means a psychological expert. I'm not a therapist. I'm not this, that, and ever. All I can deal with facts of what I've dealt with. So people can come to me. I've had a few people contact me already about various things. I had somebody contact me about sleep and having really horrid nightmares. And I did put something in the blog about sleeping because I too have suffered now and again from these horrendous kind of sleep episodes. So yeah, absolutely. And as I said earlier, I want It's Okay to be a bit of an octopus. I'm at the center and I just want to have all these arms and tentacles where I can kind of guide people to where they need to be. For me, I didn't have any of that, and it's been a struggle. As we all know mental health and we all get the struggles, but just being able to offer people some kind of support and guide them to the right place is absolutely, people can contact me. Absolutely.
Perfect. So, I mean, something which I'm looking at to sort of move into is also do this as like as a part 2 as well. Almost like a catch-up type thing, which would be really, really interesting. Sort of once again, sort of get you guys back on, or even sort of anyone else, sort of anyone in the comments section. Sort of if you'd like to jump into a podcast like this, sort of let me know, because I think it'd be really, really nice to sort of, as I said, do a part 2 and just turn around and go, right, kind of let's talk more openly about this, because I think the more we can all talk about it, the more we can sort of get the Instagram posts, the stories and bits and pieces like that out, the more people are going to be able to reach. So I think I personally think a situation like this where we all talk openly is absolutely fantastic, and hopefully this won't be the last time for any of us, whether you're jumping into Sean's sort of mental support group, Aaron, whether it's with you with It's Okay UK and the clothing line, and to obviously the donations which go with that, or even some of the blogs which are sort of Tony's doing. There's enough out there from us where we can at least point you in the right direction, if you don't necessarily want to be directly part of any of the 4 of us, so to speak. But yeah, so like I said, for me, I think it's been sort of really, really good just to have this chat with everyone. I mean, Aaron, is there anything you want to dive on to? Anything you want to talk about before we start shutting things down?
Just if you're struggling, please just speak and be brave. I had an interview this week about with the article I was talking to you guys about earlier, and the thing I said to him was like, it's that bravery of taking that step. And you don't get me wrong, I'm really blunt. Like, people will get knockbacks. People will talk to somebody and they'll think, oh my God, I wish I hadn't spoken now because I can't. Just keep chipping away, because there will be that last shining light of a person who will go, actually, I'm here to listen to you. What do you need? And if you're struggling, just accept it, acknowledge it, and just say, right, it's okay. I know it's my brand, but it's okay. You know, I'm feeling really shitty. Excuse my French. That's how I'm feeling. Let's work with it, and just open up and speak. And it's not as scary. And I promise you, it is not as scary as some people think it is. But yeah, just be brave. I think take that step if you need to.
Yeah, Sean, give us, the people listening, sort of anyone who's out there, sort of give us one tip which you found so far, which has helped the guys in the groups or yourself, or sort of anything. Is there anything where you can say to someone which may give them a light or something?
There's two things, to be fair. One of my favorite sayings, one that as soon as I read it, it's always stuck with me from years ago, was, you know, you're not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. And I think for me, I historically and even now am very much someone that will put others forward to my own detriment. It's something that I'm working on, sort of obviously in the background, and trying different ways of really just putting myself first. You know, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Stop. You know, at the end of the day, you're not going to please everyone. Stop trying so hard to please everyone. But what I would say, just going back to what you said before about the group chat, join it if nothing else, because life can change pretty quickly. You know, worlds can be turned upside down, and yes, you might not be experiencing mental health at the moment, but that's not to say in 3 months' time, 6 years' time, whenever, you know, you all of a sudden don't need to fall back on the support of people like what we have in the group chat. You know, it's if for nothing else, understands that mental health is prominent in a lot of people's lives. You know, one of the analogies that I saw a while back was, you know, if someone's got a broken arm, you don't try and fix the broken arm for them. You leave them, you know, you let the people that know what they're doing to do it. You know, you're not there to try and fix people's mental health, but to understand it better. Outlets like these group chats and like the mental health clothing brands that promote it, it's a good place to start understanding better what people are going through. Like I say, on the basis that you could personally go through that experience yourself, or someone close to you personally could go through that experience. So being armed with more information, more facts, more advice, you know, more ways to support people, that's what this is about. Whether it's you or whether it's someone else in your life, you know, the support is there, even when you feel like the support isn't there. You know, in some capacity, there is always an outlet. It's just obviously finding it and utilising it, I'd say. Yeah.
So, Tony, sort of with yourself, I mean, is there anything which you want to sort of dive into, you want to say? Is there any tips and advice have you got through your sort of experience? Is there anything which you can say to the people out there where you just kind of, once again, it may be a bit of light to someone, just that one person? Is there anything which you can say?
I mean, I've got to agree with Aaron there. Just be brave enough to just say something to someone. Just let them know how you're feeling. It's the most important thing to do. And he's right. It's not as scary as you think it is. You build it up in your head as it's going to be something that's really difficult. Once you say those first few words, it becomes easier. And again, with Sean, join that group. Yeah, you're not going to get judged in there. For me personally, it is about just opening up, just taking that first step and calling somebody. I found the Samaritans to be a really, really good place to start, because they listen to you, they don't judge you, they don't try and tell you what to do, because they're not experts in that field, but they're there and they can listen to you without judgment, without any kind of, I'm trying to think of the right word, but they'll just listen, and that's all you need to start with. You just need someone that's going to listen to what you're talking about. You might talk to, say, your mum or your brother or whatever, and they'll judge you. They'll look at that and go, what's he talking about? They don't. They're trained to listen, and it's the best thing I ever did. So I would say 11. I think it's 116123 is the number for that. Give them a call if you're struggling and you need to speak to someone. They're there for you.
Yeah. And sort of just jumping back onto sort of what Phil said, sort of it's chats like this help foster more positive mindsets about mental health, making it less taboo, and hopefully prevent serious mental health issues developing. And also we've got sort of Raffian, who's jumped in as well. Only recently tried to get a grip of his sort of their sort of mental health issues, and think that this is so amazing. Prior to his breakdown, didn't believe in mental health issues and thought that they were a myth. So thank you all. So once again, it's something which I think we can all stand there and agree it's real, it's true,
It is.
and the myths behind it need to be debunked. As I said, slowly but surely, hopefully, whether we get one person, 10 people, or 100,000, it's something which, I mean, all of you guys are doing amazing jobs, and hopefully we just keep going. Big respect to all of you, and massive respect to everyone who has jumped in the comments today, and has been willing to just participate, and even to the people who have been sitting there sort of quietly, and sort of go from there. We've actually just got another comment to just jumped in. Hey guys, just want to say well done for breaking down those barriers and making mental health in men less taboo. You guys are bridging the gap in mental health services and ending the stigma. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
But yeah, as we said, don't feel afraid to speak out. At any point in time, you're more than welcome to drop sort of any of us guys a message. As I said, jump onto It's Okay, It's Okay UK _UK on Instagram. You've got MentalSBG on Instagram. You've also got obviously the Bearded Brit on myself, Bearded Reviews. Once again, at any point in time, never ever hesitate. So keep your eyes on this space. There will be a part 2, and hopefully there'll be many more people with us. Until that point, there's no Andy today, so it is me. So we'll say stay safe, stay bearded, and peace out.